Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rescripted podcast. In today's episode, I want to talk about that feeling when your success feels like it's been put on pause. You know what I mean? You've succeeded, you've achieved everything, you've done everything right, you are respected, and you've accomplished so much, but you still feel like you're capable of more. And it's not more hustle, it's not really that you need more achievements, but there's an alignment that needs to take place. Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, in today's episode, I hope to put that frustration to rest for you, because in the Christian community, we call that time the waiting room in life, right? But there's actually a lot more going on. So I want to dive into what's actually going on and what may be taking place at this moment. Well, in this episode, I hope to put that frustration to rest for you, because in the Christian community, we call that the waiting room in life, right? Where there's this kind of frustration. We're really not moving. We're not standing still, right? We're doing all the work that we have to do, but we're not getting the traction that we're expecting, that we're thinking is going to come. Well, we call that the waiting room, but actually there's a lot more going on than just waiting. So I want to dive into what's actually happening and what could be taking place at this moment. Okay, let's be honest. You know that you were built for greatness. You know it, you feel it, you sense it. And that's what you work so hard for, to be able to fully be in your potential. So you work really hard, you get all these accolades, you do everything that you have to do. And although you may look successful on the outside, there's something internally that's not satisfied. And this is what I call your engine phase. A lot of us go to school, we get great professions, we develop different skill sets to allow us to execute some sort of results, right? You're able to produce some type of result, and you're able to have a career, build a profession upon those results that you can provide for the industry, the market, your boss, whoever, right? So there's a competency that you've developed, right? And you become really good at it. So you keep doing it and you keep achieving and you keep going forward. And all those things are great. But although you're completing them and you're showing proof of your competency and you're getting rewarded for your competency, there still lies a friction within. And what that really is that you're really ultimately, you're in your developing season. You see, when you're in your engine phase, your engine season, that's really where you're developing your muscle. And a lot of times some people go and it's just a skill set, right? They want to go out, they want to make money. What's the thing that makes them the most money? And they develop that skill. But there's other people that are really good in their market, really good in their industry, and that's when they've been able to develop their gift, right? Their gift muscle to be able to produce a result. And that's where you look at your life and you're like, well, I'm not displeased with it, it just doesn't feel fulfilled. It's because in your engine season, wherever you're starting off, you're allowed to exercise some of your gifts, some of your skill sets, right? And you're able to produce results that nobody else can. And that's exciting for you, and that's what allowed you to get all your rewards, your accolades, and be able to have a name for yourself that's well respected. But internally, you feel such a divide, because you can also even feel as an imposter, because although you're getting these results, you don't feel that equivalent of fulfillment. And what's happening there is that your development season is where you build your muscle of your gifts, right? And then once you're able to build them well enough, you're going to notice that what used to work doesn't work anymore, because now that you have fine-tuned that muscle, that the gifts that you have, then now it's time to use them in a different area in life, a different perspective, and even in a more mature level. And that's what it is that your gifts and talents are maturing, but sometimes you're still operating on that engine phase, right? So a lot of times we feel like you just keep going, keep doing what you have to do, and all that matters is results. But really what matters is impact. That's the thing that matters the most, because you'll always get results with impact, and your results from your development season will be one layer of results, but once you get into your stewardship season, you're going to get a different layer of results, because you're going to be using your skill sets differently, because now they've matured. But if you keep the mindset of the beginning or the engine or just results, that's where that friction comes, because you are maturing, you are evolving, you are elevating, but your habits haven't. So you're kind of like in this in-between stage. You may feel stuck, you may feel frustrated, you may feel like you're in the waiting room, but in fact, it's that you've matured your skill sets, you matured your abilities, but the way you operate it hasn't really aligned with that quite yet. And trust me, that is a good problem to have, because so many people actually operate off of smoke and mirrors. They want to learn as they go and get the results as they go. But a lot of times that causes you to have more friction, and then you end up operating off of like response instead of being proactive, and then you don't really know what your skill set is, because you're just reacting to everything instead of proactively acting to everything. So do you see how there's a difference? There's a sense of urgency because you need to fix something, where there's a system that you're building when you get to proactively produce. So there's a different layer of skill sets, and it does give you a different layer of calmness. So there's more structure in what you do, so there's more calmness to what you do, and you're still getting results, but you don't have the high stress of reacting. There's a big difference there. So trust me when I tell you, when you come to this like fork in the road, where I call internal constraint, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, because you're not a smoke and mirror type of person. You are a person of substance, but now you just have to elevate. So walk this out with me for a minute. Right now, in the job that you're at, that you love, you absolutely love, but you feel like it's not fulfilling you the way that it used to, would you say that you loved it because you were able to develop some systems that really work alongside of how you learn, how you work? It's really tied to like your work ethic, so that's why it works so well. You've been able to develop it off of the way that you learn, so it's very intuitive for you, and that's why you really enjoy it, because it's something that's very natural for you. So it creates like a flow. And then also there's different patterns that you learn about yourself, so you're able to look at it and say you like it because you're able to see yourself grow, and you're able to see the progress that you've made. But there's just a difference. There's a difference between learning and then evolving. So you're right in that transitional period of like, you've learned everything, you've mastered everything, so now it's time to evolve. And a lot of times you're still looking for that permission, right? You're looking for that promotion, or you're looking for that verbal confirmation, something to let you know like it's okay for you to transition over. But you don't need anyone's permission. You need your permission. And it's because at the end of the day, your results are only going to get as far as the ceiling that you allowed yourself to be under. You have to realize everything happens in stages, and that's the best way, because that's what makes them foundational. That we're able to execute this much here, we were able to achieve this much here, and that's what allowed us to be able to propel here. Life happens in stages. When you try to condense too much at the same time, there's no system, there's no flow. That's where a lot of chaos happens, because there's no order. There's just compact work that you're trying to produce a result, and a lot of things fall through the cracks that way, and that's not what you want to do. You don't want to burn yourself out that way. It may be fun if you like kind of a hectic environment, but it's not fun when you're able to see all the ways that it really is doing a disservice to you and the projects that you're working on. It's kind of devaluing your time, if you really want to look at it that way. But once you're able to find what that order is, once you're able to see, hey, this is the maximum result that I can achieve from this, and then if I want bigger results, then I have to move on. Because you see, that training season, that build the muscle season, it's phenomenal, and you may be there for a while. It may take you a couple years to really develop and master what your skill sets are, but it's not your final destination. It's meant to propel you. And a lot of times we get comfortable. A lot of times we get comfortable because the salary is great. We like the community that we're in. It's close to home. There's so many reasons that we stay where we're most comfortable. And sometimes you have to deal with that silent unfulfillment, because you are fulfilled in so many other ways, but your purpose no longer feels fulfilled. And that's a slow agony of feeling that void, because at that point you feel like you're cheating yourself out of what life is really supposed to feel like, because you're meant for big things, you're meant for wonderful things. And maybe your big thing isn't being a superstar. Maybe your big thing isn't to be some type of artist, but whatever you're meant to be, you're meant to make great impact. And you want to be fair to yourself, and you want to be able to live that out. And the way to do that is to allow yourself to evolve into your next phase. That may mean that you have to get out your comfort zone, because the truth of the matter is the danger of staying in your training season is that you really start to feel like you're eroding, and that starts to impact the different relationships you have, right? With your friends, with your spouse, sometimes your kids, because you're frustrated and you don't know how to deal with it. You don't even know where to detect it from. So you lash out, and sometimes it's going to be towards the ones that you love the most. So you don't want to do yourself that disservice, because you can give, like I say all the time, you can give all of yourself, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're giving the best of you. And you do want to give the best of you, because the best of you is refreshed, is enlightened, and is recharged. You don't want to burn yourself out. That's not the best of you. That's just giving the most of you. Because here's the truth: no matter how many accolades you receive, you achieve, you collect, if you're building them off the wrong identity, you will always feel that void. And you don't want that. I don't want that for you. I want you to live in your greatness. You know it, you feel it, so you want to absolutely give yourself a fighting chance to live it. And that is actually the truth of the matter, is you may have to build a muscle that's going to make you kind of fight for it a little bit, because you're digging into something that nobody else can tell you about. Nobody else knows what's in you but you. So no matter how many achievements you can get, nobody knows what you're built for. Only you and God, So a lot of times when you're building into that new evolved version of you, sometimes you do have an isolated season, because you have to get clear. You have to drown out any noises, any voices from the outside, any outside opinions. And you really need to get aligned with like your intuition and really listen in, and sometimes that's easier said than done, because when we have such a busy lifestyle, but you really have to be able to understand that you've got your best interest in mind and heart and in everything. But if you don't stop and listen to yourself, how will you know? How will you know if you're off track? How will you know if that internal constraint is really not the signal that you've been waiting for, but you're just avoiding it because you're just too busy to even listen to yourself? The reality of it all is your success isn't paused because you don't work hard enough. Your success may be paused because you don't listen to yourself enough. If you keep seeking externally for approval of your worth because of what you could produce, your results, your output, you're going to remain in that constraint. You're going to still feel like your success is getting there. It's limited. It hasn't fully reached its potential. And you're going to keep going on that cycle, that hamster wheel, where you're like, let me do more, let me produce more, and you're chasing this feeling that you want to feel fulfilled, but it's not out there. You have to listen within. So you do have to make that shift, the shift of leaving the old behind and realizing that season did its job, and it did it amazingly, wonderfully, perfectly. But now it's time for you to shift into your stewardship. And in my coaching, that's exactly what I help you do. I don't only help you build your muscle and optimize that gift muscle that you have, but really have it aligning with what you're meant to steward, because in that you're going to see what you're supposed to be governing and how it all really works together and how it's matured, and you're going to see yourself in such a different way, in such a different light, and you're not going to be bored, because you're going to realize, oh, there's so much more to learn, there's so much more to do, there's so much more to gain, but you're able to do it in a way that you see how you are evolving. And that's such a beautiful thing, and it's going to cause you to be more committed to listening to your intuition, so that you can really produce a lot more impact than just results. If you feel like you are dealing with exactly that, you feel that internal constraint going on, then I invite you to take my quiz, which allows you to see what exactly is holding you back. And if you've already done that and you are ready to start coaching with me, I've also linked that link down below where we could book a call and we can go over exactly what it is that you want to transition from. And then I do have you fill out some intake forms just so that we can get a clear understanding of where we're going to go with you this whole coaching program, because I don't want you to feel like this is a one size fits all. Although evolution is universal, it is individualized also, because you're called to steward something specific and unique to you. So there's only so much of it that we can kind of like pre-produce, right? So a lot of it is, I want to connect with you and I want to be able to see where you truly stand in this journey. Are you in the beginning? Then my self-paced programs will definitely help you so much more. But if you are ready to make this complete shift and you know that you have mastered your gift muscle and you're ready to have them mature so that you could steward what you know you're meant to do, and you know that you're meant and called for more, then book a call and we can really go through all that and really see where you stand and how my coaching program can help you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode and feel like it was insightful, then I ask you to please rate it, like it, and subscribe, and share it with someone you feel will enjoy it. I'll be back here next week and we will continue to discuss matters regarding personal development. Take care, guys. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.